Okay, showtime! Hi, I'm joined by Gravehuffer. Last week, my mate Elric spoke to them on my channel, did an interview with them, and I just wanted to pick their brains about some music memories. So all three of them are going to do some music memories. There's going to set up 5 memories of us each, and but you're only allowed to pick one from your own band, by the way. Only one for you. You can't go through your whole back catalogue. That's cheating. Right, so I'll make you guys big, and I'll be in the little screen over here. Because people have seen me enough on my channel. So how do you want to start? Do you want to do them one at a time, or you want to go like one, or you want to do all 5 and then move on to the next person? Probably one at a time would be best, wouldn't it?
Doesn't matter to me.
What, he was like one at a time, or like we'll do one at a time.
Yeah, round and round. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well,
who wants to start?
I can start, so it makes it even across the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So it's a music moment. It would probably be my first music moment, or when I just figured out that music did something for me. Was just I was born in 1970, so I grew up probably hearing the best decade of radio, and just riding in the backseat of my mom. She had a '64 Mustang. And just riding in the back of the Mustang, listening to the radio was like my earliest thing where I'm like, this is really cool,
Yeah.
I really like it. That's probably my first.
Yeah.
I remember I really liked Band on the Run because it like rock and roll, and then it would change into something else. It was different than the rest of the songs.
Okay.
So I thought that one stands out.
Okay.
I probably liked Wings. I liked Wings a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my mom said I watched the Monkees a lot. Like, I don't remember. But she said, if the fucking Monkees are on, you were telling me, Mom, turn on the Monkees.
That's awesome.
I was like, I don't remember the Monkees.
Huh. That's really cool. Though.
But she said, I loved the Monkees, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I used to like the Monkees. They were quite fun.
Yeah.
do you remember them in the credits? They used to walk along. They used to do that kind of crisscross leg kind of thing as they're walking along, like arm in arm kind of thing. You guys could do that actually. Arms over each other, you sort of crossed over their legs. We used to do that all the time.
That would be funny.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Yeah, I heard someone was telling me about Monkees the other day. Apparently, they was all like not using their correct instruments. Like the singer was a better drummer than he was a singer, but because he was short, they didn't put him on the drum. Was it you guys talking about that? I sure I heard someone talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
It
wasn't you guys? That wasn't you. I don't know where I heard it then.
I think if I'm correct, I think they actually made an album that ended up ruining their career because they broke from the label, but they actually wrote their own music and played it because there was one guy in the band that was a good songwriter, and he thought he was signing a contract where he was going to be writing the music and everything like that, and he signed it away to be a TV show, and they like manipulated it, mostly by looks and talent. And I think one of them was just an actor, wasn't even a musician.
Oh wow!
I don't know that much about the Monkees, but
sounds like you know something.
Well, the guy Leighton's a big fan of the guy who writes the music, like Michael Nesmith or something.
Michael Nesmith.
Yeah, he's a big fan of his,
Okay.
and he got screwed in the whole Monkees thing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's a legitimate musician and everything.
That's interesting. By the man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think anyone signing contracts with TV ends up getting screwed somehow, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus, they tried to help Jimmy.
Oh, the Monkees?
Yeah, they put Jimi Hendrix on tour, but no one else was really wanting to touch him.
Oh, shit! I didn't.
But it was all weird. It's
I didn't
Jimmy
know
helping his guitar from like 12-year-old girl. What the fuck is this? But it didn't last very long.
Huh. Interesting.
Oh, who wants to go on the next one? Then we move to the middle. Introduce yourselves, by the way. You've not introduced yourselves yet. Let's introduce yourselves to the people in chat.
Okay. Well, I'm Ritchie Randall. I play guitar, do a little bit of the singing on the new record anyway. For me, I just remember my dad would spin records like full volume. I mean, it'd be cranked up really loud. And the ones that I remember the best were Deep Purple, In Rock, Led Zeppelin 2, and what else? Gosh, probably a Rainbow record, probably Long Live Rock and Roll, maybe, and huge Ritchie Blackmore because they named me after Blackmore. So yeah, my dad was in the army in Germany in the 60s, early 70s. He got to see Zeppelin and the Who and Deep Purple back, Uriah Heep, all those bands. Yeah, dude, it's kind of ridiculous, but so yeah, totally blame my dad for it. So yeah, that's my early memory, would be listening to some of those old bands on vinyl, and I remember thinking this is just powerful, and it really, affected me in a positive way. I was like, I think I like this, I wasn't sure, but I was like, maybe the Dio era Rainbow was a little, it's kind of spooky, but I like it, Gates of Babylon was kind of like, had a satanic kind of lyrics, and I was like, whoa, wow, I was growing up, being raised Catholic, that was kind of crazy, but yeah, I would say that. And then my parents not making me, but I remember they watched The Exorcist, and I remember thinking, wow, being like really into scary stuff. So yeah, that would be my first musical memories for sure.
Yeah, so that's Tubular Bells, isn't it? Mike Oldfield.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that song actually scary? So may carry on. I'll let you carry on because my microphone's just messing up and I can't bloody hear half the time. But you carry on.
Okay.
I'm Travis. I do vocal, and I was raised in a Christian home, and so I wasn't exposed to rock. My parents didn't listen to rock music. They were into some disco and gospel music, and top 40 was the radio that I always heard. And I always liked music, but I wasn't didn't pop up and notice something until I heard Run DMC, which is weird because I'm not that big of a rap fan. But in 5th grade, to me, that was man, they can't be doing that, and it's that just sounds so odd, and they were swearing a lot, and it's man, they got a lot of balls. They're saying motherfucker on their album 3 times. And so I think that album got me into rock, even though it's not a rock album. But I can just remember thinking that's the first time music felt dangerous to me, was the Run DMC Raising Hell. Because up to that point, it was all Andy Williams and stuff like that that my parents listened to. So.
Right, yeah.
Was you allowed to listen to that in the house?
No, I listened to it with neighbors and on headphones and stuff. And we used to cruise up and down the street, me and my best friend Jason, and we had had a ghetto blaster and had that album in there. And it goes, those dumb motherfuckers can't mess with us. And I would rewind it immediately after that, so that it was just, those dumb motherfuckers can't mess with us. And so we're walking down the street yeah, we're listening to motherfuckers on the radio, We just thought we were bad shit because we had the Run DMC tape.
I'm liking that.
That's why I was pleased when Anthrax and Public Enemy did that together.
Yeah.
Because it was metal and rap, because I got the same feeling. I got more into rock and metal later, but it's that same initial feeling of, man, what the fuck, man? Hey, they're doing that. That's intense.
Mm-hmm.
That was I'm the Man, wasn't it?
They brought it together because both those musics came.
Did you hear me?
I didn't.
What? I didn't hear him.
I didn't hear
him. Because you got
it keeps breaking up for me, so I'm not sure if you've heard me or not. I'm saying "I'm the Man" was the song with Anthrax and was it Run DMC or whoever it was? Was that "I'm the Man"?
"I'm the Man" was a rap song that Anthrax wrote. That was their first doing that rap rock style. But then a little bit later, it was "Bring the Noise" with Public Enemy.
Yeah,
It's an original Public Enemy song.
Yeah.
And it's really got in even a couple of voices, a couple of verses rapping. Yeah.
Before that, because they did also, you had Aerosmith, didn't you?
Oh,
with Run DMC.
Yeah.
I think my second one would probably be my dad had a Brian Wilson, or it's a Beach Boys 7-inch for Heroes and Villains. And it was supposed to be on the Smile album, but it never came out. And so I put that on. It sounded different than anything that was in my parents' collection. I still have it to this day in my record collection, but I remember that song. It was just pieced together all crazy and had all these parts. And that kind of introduced me to like different kinds of music out there, you know? So that'd probably be the first road sign I saw to, there's something else besides what I'm listening to on the radio that I need to look for, you know?
Yeah.
Was that Heroes and Villains 7-inch. I remember just going, this doesn't sound like any of the other Beach Boys. Like, where's the rest of it?
Right.
You know, that was the first time I started thinking, you know, where's the rest of this weird stuff?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. This isn't surf music. This is
this isn't the surf music. Like this is different.
Yeah.
But that's probably my second one was probably that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm starting saying cool. I'm going to try not to talk actually, because every time I do, you just cut out. No, yeah, I was trying to talk, but every time I talk, you sort of cut out. So I'm not sure if you can hear me or what's going on. So I'm just going to shut up and let you guys just go all the way through, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is number 2 for me, and Mike was talking about listening to records, and on my first one, my dad had a lot of records, and I do remember this I kind of not forgot about it, but when he mentioned that, it made me think of my aunt on my dad's side. That's my dad's sister. A couple of years later, and I'd stay with my cousins, and my cousins were older than me. They were more my older age, so they would always go and do their thing, and I'd usually just hang out by myself or hang out with my aunt. And she had this record player, and she had tons of old 45s, tons of Beatles and Arthur Brown and all this crazy stuff. And I just remember listening to all that, all those old Beatles and Arthur Brown records. And the record player itself, it was like one of the ones you had in elementary school. It was like a little box, the lid flipped up, and the speaker was all built in. And on the other side, it had like a light that like reacted to the music.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I was like, man, I'd just sit there all day listening to those old records, old 45s, and that was kind of like another thing. Like, oh, there's, like Mike was saying, there's other music out there besides Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. There is some different things, and even though they were singles at the time, I feel like it was different to what my parents listened to, even though they did like the Beatles, my mom especially, but I'd never heard like Arthur Brown or what was it? It just seemed like it was more like Creedence Clearwater Revival and stuff like that was a little more not folky, but more songwritery. Sure, yeah. So it was combining like the hard rock with the more song oriented stuff. So yeah.
Cool. My number 2 comes shortly after my number 1. In fact, almost the same time period. And my neighbor that I'd stroll down the street with, listen to Run DMC, got me into hard rock and metal. And Dawkins was like my first favorite rock band. And I was really like, the intro to Kiss of Death was just really tore into me because I used to think like Bon Jovi was, hard rock and metal. And so that really, got to me. It's just great riff on that intro. And he got me into Headbangers Ball. I just like everything that's considered metal, all in one night, for 3 hours, just random, very little talking. Became later more interviews and countdowns and crap like that. But it used to just be mostly just music the whole time. You sometimes would go like 45 minutes without even hearing from the DJ, which was great for what I wanted. I just wanted to see the music.
Right.
So that was like, I just saw how big the world of metal and rock can be, and how it can come from a lot of different angles and still be edgy no matter what angle it's coming from. You know, if it's done right. You know, like Cheap Trick rock and Slayer can rock. You know,
Right. I love Cheap Trick.
Yeah, I love too. So yeah, I kind of got into metal through hair metal and hard rock through hair metal and stuff, and Headbangers Ball. So that was a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
Cool.
My third one would be probably when I discovered like Devo. My friend's older brother, he listened to like Keel and like all this metal. He listened to all kinds of stuff, but he had this big Devo poster on the wall. It had like potatoes with heads on.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I remember thinking, what the hell is that? You know? And he's like, oh, that's Devo. And so he's like, started hooking me up with Devo tapes, and I tape them all. I listen to them all the time, man. Like New Traditionalist is probably my favorite Devo. And it's just like, it's so far ahead of its time. It's so different.
Yeah.
Right.
And I talk about de-evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was young, so I didn't understand punk rock. Like I had heard, like around the same time I heard like Sex Pistols and Ramones, but it didn't really blow my socks off. You know what I mean? Like I didn't get my socks blown off by that stuff until I heard the first Suicidal Tendencies, and then I thought, this is for me. This is where I belong. You know, I finally, after all the years of looking, I finally found where I thought, okay, this is for me, you know, was hardcore, fast punk, you know. Right. So it's probably that whole time period of, you know, it was a whole string of Devo started it, and then it just went to like, you know, breakdances in the neighborhood, listening to Cool Modi and fucking Fat Boys, you know.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And, like discovering all that. It's just like, whoa, there's a whole like underground to music, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Probably that was my third, you know.
Right. Besides what's on the radio.
Yeah.
I think my third was probably Judas Priest. And my dad had Unleashed in the East, and I had no clue what that was. And I remember getting the record, and I was always digging through my dad's records. And thankfully, my dad was cool about not, you know, I was always real careful with it, and he trusted me. And so, yeah, digging through the records and seeing that, and I was like, what are they wearing? You know, like they had all these leather and studs and all. I was like, what is that? You know, I was like, this would have been 1980 probably. So I was like, I had never seen that before. And saw the Flying V guitars and to see what this sound. So I put a record on. The song Exciter comes on. Shit, what is this? Never heard anything like that ever. You know, all these like high pitched vocals, and I was like, whoa, man! And this crazy like guitar picking and fast solos, and it blew my mind. You know, this was like before I'd heard like metal, heavy metal, I guess. You know, so I think they were kind of the epitome of that when I was first starting to get into it. So yeah, I'd say definitely Unleashed in the East by Priest was my number 3.
My number 3 was when I heard Angel Dust from Faith No More.
Oh wow!
Because I was really into heavy music and virtuosic music, and had a certain idea of what things should sound like. And I put things in when I listen to music. I had a criteria in my mind for them to have to meet, and I had all these rigid things about it, you know, because I was really getting into it, but I was getting too snobby about it. And I heard Angel Dust, and it opened up the way I listen to music. Because I liked Real Thing, okay, but I kind of thought it was like a novel. They were a novelty band whenever it came out. But then I went back to it later. But it was Angel Dust that even got me into Old Faith No More. And but it just taught me like how simple things can sound really good, and just the right notes in the right places, and how like they don't sound like anybody whatsoever. They're their own sound. So it's like how something can be so original, and that can be what's awesome about it. And it changed the way I listen to music forever. And so then I got into Mr. Bungle, and that taught me that there really aren't any rules in music.
Right.
And then that got me into Frank Zappa, and then I got into John Zorn. And so that just really opened my mind to listen to music in a totally different way, and just letting the music be the what's awesome about it, what's cool, not have a criteria that music just with and like it because it's original.
Cool. But before we go on to the number, before we do that, got a question from the chat. If you can hear me, someone wants to know, do you guys like Godsmack?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I never really listened to him.
Not a big.
No, not really. Yeah, I don't know. I've never listened to a whole lot of them to comment, I guess, but I do remember hearing them do like a Priest tribute thing, and I mean it was okay, but I don't know. I know their drummer's good, Shannon Larkin or whatever.
Their manager.
Their manager
is Extreme's drummer.
Yep. Extreme's old drummer is their manager.
Yeah.
Paul Geary.
Paul Geary.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Not really our thing, I don't think, but I mean they're okay.
Fair enough. You can move on with number 4 now if you like.
Okay. Shit. Or it'd probably have to be a concert, you know. Probably I can't know if I can pick one. I saw Ravi Shankar once, and that was like being in church. I saw Philip Glass, a really classic soundtrack. So, that was mine. I saw Einster Zinde Neubauten, however you say it, from Germany. That was probably the one that made me really think, wow, you can have like 10 people on stage and it doesn't get overworked, you know. One knew their spot. You know, it was just a different thing, you know. And I like seeing noisy, weird shit, and that was probably the highlight of my seeing that, you know. It was EN, I think.
Mm-hmm. They're like a controlled collage.
Yeah. Like a Jackson Pollock painting with structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
a lot of little
because they played together since
crazy
the
parts, but
right.
it's all.
You play with somebody that long, you know not to step on their, you know.
Yeah.
Just all
People
everybody.
are good about picking their spots.
Right. Yeah. Everybody knows a role.
So
Okay.
that was number 4 for me.
My number 4 would probably be when I started playing guitar, and that would have been 89 or 90. And I just remember I started buying like guitar magazines and stuff, and I was starting to like pick music apart at this point because I was learning how to play it. I could kind of hear it. I could kind of tell what they were doing and stuff like that. I was taking lessons, and so it was training my ear to hear technique and all that stuff. And so some people may think that's a negative. Sometimes it is kind of weird. It's like, man, sometimes I wish I could just sit back and listen to stuff and not analyze it. But I've always been kind of analytical anyway, so I guess it really makes sense. But I remember looking in a guitar magazine. This is about the time I discovered death metal, and I believe Morbid Angel was probably the first death metal band I'd ever heard of. And I remember buying Blessed Are the Sick just because I read about it in a magazine, a guitar magazine, and putting it in the CD player. And I was like, holy shit, I'd never heard death metal before. And, I had no clue what to expect. And I was like, this is some craziest shit I ever heard. It was like Slayer, like with somebody, it was like somebody took a gun to Slayer's head and say,
Step it up.
Play it, be as intense as you can or you'll die. I mean, it was just nuts. I'd never heard death metal vocals. I'd never heard blast beats. And I'd never heard like the whammy bar, histrionics, all that stuff. And I just remember Trey Azagthoth, I was like, wow, what is he doing? And I think it's always been my thing. Anything that makes me say, what are they doing on their instrument or whatever? That's always been what piques my interest, I guess, and it always tends to be stuff of extreme variety for whatever reason. But I would say when I discovered death metal was probably my number 4.
My number 4 is my first concert. It was Lynch Mob, so I saw George Lynch, one of my heroes. The person got me into music, or got me into hard music, and I was glad that I saw it in the club. I think it's really good that your first show is a club show, because that's what live music is all about. Sometimes shows are so big, you feel like you're part of this production, and there's this like little part down there that hours of the show that you're not allowed to get near and everything. But this is really cool. I got to see my club, and my best friend Jason, at the time, well, he's still my best friend. He's in a wheelchair, so we got in before everybody else so we could get up there, and we look back and they're playing pool like right behind us, because we're the first people in the club, and so it was just really cool.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was like that's when you discover live music is so much better than on the album, because they're just letting it fly. And it's so much fun. So yeah, my first show, it was the first time you get that adrenaline rush from going to a show, and after that, I was hooked and had to go to shows all the time.
Cool. Okay, got a couple of more questions from the chat. Yeah, got a couple of more questions about the chat from the chat. First off, someone asked, what's your favorite 60s band?
Sure.
Did you hear that? So what's your favorite 60s band?
Yeah.
That's kind of tough.
Ooh, there's a lot of things in
Almost everything Motown.
yeah.
I'm really into the bass players from the 60s, so man. Probably Jimi Hendrix. The Cry of Love lineup, but that was like that 1970s. So. But yeah, Jimi Hendrix, I'm going to say, because he has such an impact on live sound and bands, period.
Okay.
Good. I was thinking that way.
That was like the first thing I thought from you, man, honestly. For me, holy moly. I know this is like super obvious, or not cliche, but man, I would probably have to go Beatles.
You can't go wrong with Beatles.
It's like to me, they were around for 7 years, and they took pop music, psychedelic music. They had riffs, they had ballads, they had just every conceivable part about music just in that small time span. I mean, they did so much in a short time period, and to me that has my respect. I can't say I like every Beatles song or whatever, but I'm probably my favorite stuff would be kind of the mid period, like your Revolver, Rubber Soul. That's probably my favorite stuff. I like Abbey Road though.
Abbey Road is probably my favorite.
That's probably my favorite, but they were just such great writers, and they kind of revolutionized recording.
And with a guy who'd never produced a rock band before,
George Martin.
He was, like classical music and stuff before.
Right.
That. So it was he was experimenting too.
Right. So I admire their ambition and their drive and their just will to be creative, and they were just, I don't know, they were just kind of,
I think a lot of people, the end of the 60s, everything, the envelope was being pushed on everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about cars, you say, hey, I got 1967 this, anything. It's going to be cool.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
If you say almost every band, 1967, was fucking kicking ass.
Yeah.
Everybody.
All
Everybody.
the best recording equipment was the end of the 60s. Like,
I mean,
the
hell,
best sounding stuff.
Right.
You know, it's just,
I mean, you could even say Led Zeppelin. I mean, the
Yeah.
first two Zeppelin albums came out in '69.
And the first two Sabbath albums were 69 too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
the
the second one was 70.
Yeah, I think the first album came out at the tail end of '69.
So you barely call them the 60s band.
But, yeah. Or it may have even. Well, no, it was Friday the 13th. It may have been February of '70.
but imagine being part of that.
Right.
There's
It's like,
so many
this
good
band
bands.
over here is pushing the envelope that way. Your band's pushing it this way. This band over here is pushing it that way.
I'm a huge blues fan, and they were doing their own thing too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everyone was
Pink
kind of
Floyd
exploring.
started in
Like,
the 60s.
music
Yeah.
was a new world.
Right.
Everyone
Floyd,
was
Pink
exploring,
Floyd had like
you know.
3 albums in the
Brian
60s.
Wilson,
Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
he's leading the charge.
Yeah,
there,
right.
you know.
We need a time machine. Go back in the 60s.
Man, that's a question. We could sit here for
We
hours.
could probably talk about.
Yeah.
Mothers of Inventions.
Yeah. Yep. Frank Zappa band.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Cool.
Kinks. Although I like 70s Kinks the best.
Okay.
Cool. So it
Say
keeps breaking
another
up.
question.
Yeah, so it keeps breaking up. That's why I keep I'm not sure if you finished talking or not because mine just keeps freezing every now and again. So that's why I'm kind of like, you don't know if I'm here or not. But yeah, the next question I've been asked is, what's your favorite song by Pantera?
Favorite song? Or...
By Pantera.
I don't know if I know one.
Mike's not the.
Like,
I'm just not a big fan of the singer, but the band's awesome.
Why Demons Be Driven's a good song.
That song's awesome.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
I remember first hearing that. I was like, God, that riff just makes my blood boil, dude. It's just, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, they got riffs for days.
Yeah.
Lord. Yeah. Mine would probably be, probably something off Cowboy.
Yeah.
Um,
That riff for Cemetery Gates.
Yeah. Cemetery Gates. Man, that was the first one I heard, so I'll just go with Cemetery Gates.
Cool. All right, let's move on to your
Can't go
fifth.
wrong with
Oh yeah, our fifth. Okay.
Yeah, and then
and this one has to be about the band.
doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Just so you can only have a maximum of one band orienting one.
Okay. Because I have a short history with these guys.
Probably, I guess, be playing an instrument, because then you kind of start looking different. Like you said, you start picking. I started playing the bass, and I would start listening for bass. Like, I didn't take lessons, so I would just like Nuclear Assault's Game Over cassette, dude. I'd put side 2, and I'd listen for the lowest note, and then I'd like, tune my bass to that. And dude, I played that. That was I played like 5 hours a day back then, you know. And I'd skateboard all day and get home. I'd wake up. First, I'd wake up, get high. Then I'd play bass for like an hour, 2 hours. Skateboard all day. Then I'd like go home, smoke some more weed, play bass for like probably 3 or 4 hours.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
But I remember I felt it really hurt. I couldn't play my bass, dude. And so like my wrist was killing me and I couldn't play for like a week. And so that was the point. I said, all right, I think I got to pick bass over skateboarding, you know, because I thought I'm going to keep it was my left hand. And I rode that way. So I was always landing on that arm first. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I'd rather play bass than skateboard, I think. So that's when I started like not trying so hard anymore and just cruising around.
Yeah.
Anything too crazy. Bass pretty much took over my life at that point. I worshipped like Cliff Burton, you know, Gidley, Stu Ham. You know, I was into all those guys, and I practiced a lot, really hard. I met this dude that really turned me on to John Cole, and that kind of set me off on another path, that old jazz. You know, I was really into old blues, like Mississippi Delta stuff, and this guy turned me on to like John Coltrane. I heard Miles Davis, but I never really paid too much attention to John Coltrane, and now I've got fucking John Coltrane tattoo. But yeah, his band they're all badasses.
Oh my
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, bass kind of changed my life playing bass guitar. You know, I'll probably never stop playing. Right?
Well, my number 5, I would say probably would have been the first show that I played, and that was with my friends Gary and Steve. And Gary actually masters all the Gravehuffer stuff, and we had a band, and our friend Steve actually plays in local bands too, but he plays bass. But I remember the first time we played a show, it was at this place called the ATA Hall, and this would have been like 1992, I believe. And I just remember being so nervous. I was like, I've never played in front of people before, you know, and so yeah, that's definitely my number 5. Just getting that first show, not out of the way, but just like finally, you know, like we played a show in front of a crowd, you know, and people seemed to like it, and people talked about it, you know, and that's always really cool, you know, playing a show, and set me on the path I'm on this day. So, yeah, definitely playing my first show would be number 5.
It's like losing your gig virginity.
I'd have to say,
Go ahead.
Sorry, I said it's like losing your gig. I said it's like losing your gig virginity.
Yes.
and I actually got blood on stage on mine. Yeah, mine's first show too, for totally different reasons. Not people saying it was good, but I was in a real offensive comedy band called HRB, and our first show about got out of town. But it felt good being up there in front of people, though. It was like a thrill, especially when you know you're going to offend almost everybody there. But yeah, I'd have to say first show.
Well, that was he was in the band with our previous singer James.
Yeah, we were best friends, and Jason, Damon, we were all best friends growing up.
Yeah, and his friend, he was talking about Jason. He plays the solo on Warm's previous album, so we try to keep it in the family.
Yeah.
So,
all right, cool. All right, so that's everything. I've got a couple more questions then we can finish off with. If you can hear me and I can hear you. It's so terrible, this feed. I think it might be my internet in this room. I'm not too sure. Someone like my mate James asked Danzig, is he better with the Misfits or solo? Did you catch that?
It depends on what you're in the mood for. I mean, I'm kind of glad Danzig. Yeah. It kind of depends on what you're in the mood for, because that's what I liked about Danzig's solo stuff, is he didn't try to sound like Misfits. And I don't know. I think they're both good. I probably got into Misfits a little more than Danzig, but I do like Danzig's first 3 solo albums quite a bit.
I like 4th one too.
I always liked Sam Hain.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like I loved Misfits.
I like
heard
it too,
Sam
but
Hain,
if
I
I
was
said I'm
like,
pronouncing it wrong.
I liked them a little more. You know
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
thought they were better too, but I'm not as familiar with them. But what I've heard, I'm like, damn, okay. That's
But solo's cool, but I played with Sam Hain, Misfits, Danzig. It was a list for me.
Okay, that's fair. I would probably go Misfit, Sam Hain, Danzig. Like, yeah. I mean, I like the first album's really good. My favorite Danzig is the second album.
Yeah, me too. Those are my favorite.
That is such a
Jesus.
that's a album, man. The How the God Kills is really good too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. That one is
Yeah,
good.
that one is really good.
That one I forgot about. Yeah.
Her
Dude,
Black Wings.
Anybody ever say the first 3 is good? First 4 is good. You're right.
Yeah, that 4th album's fucking
I
trippy.
forgot about that when you said that.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's kind of had an industrial.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
He kind of does his own thing, but that new Elvis thing. Did you guys hear that?
Yes.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
I was excited too because I remember being a kid. Whoa, it'd be awesome if the Misfits did some Elvis songs.
Yeah.
You know, but no, it doesn't. They never did it. So then, when finally now they're like, "Oh, Danzig's doing some Elvis songs," I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
When I heard them, I was like, "Fuck."
Have you heard his solo, his instrumental solo stuff, like a soundtrack music?
Oh,
kind of
Black
stuff?
Area or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that was on cassette, wasn't it?
I've got it. Yeah, it's good. Wisconsin, dance factory, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Next question, if I can just find it. This might take a while because it's quite a wide-ranging question. Favorite rock album?
Okay.
Mine, I guess Angel Dust. If you call it a rock album, you had to call it something. It'd be a rock album. But I think Angel Dust is my favorite album there is. It's just so varied. It's just there's a lot of stuff I get into heavily, and it's a phase, and I'll put it back. But I've always listened to Angel Dust my whole life, but from a different with different ears, like different stages of my life, and I can still get something new out of it, even in my older age. There's things I didn't notice I liked about it before. I like about it now. It's like just I don't know what it is about that album. It's just it teaches me. It helps me listen to other music. It was like the album to listen to stuff.
Yeah. I'd say for me, it's probably Deep Purple in Japan. I remember my dad played that fucking record so much, and it was always extremely loud because he wanted it to be like your damn concert. So I just remember thinking, my God, they just sound like they were going on. Like it was just palpable, like the energy, you know. And that was like the first thing I ever heard that was like it just jumped out at the speakers, you know. And just remember that I get these pictures in my head of how they were doing on stage and like what Blackmore were doing with his guitar and like where did he throw it or you know whatever, you know. I mean, it was just like it got real crazy and noisy and sometimes real mellow and it was all over the place, all in one show. And that was amazing to me. And I still listen to that album and I still get really excited, you know. So yeah, I would have to say Deep Purple is made in Japan.
I would have to say that I put on every time. I'm just like excited to hear it. It's Death, Harmony, Corruption.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Like the mix on it to me is perfect. Like the music's everything. If someone's like, "What does death metal sound like?" or you know, I would give them probably Rain and Blood and that album. I'd be like this is the 1-2 bunch, wham wham, you know. Because I remember like I was such a Slayer freak. You know, when I first heard Hell Awaits, I was like, "What is this?"
Yep.
You know, like this, like Venom. You're like kind of made fun of those. Like, they're still like, "Ooh, they're scary," but you're kind of like they're kind of clowny too.
Mm-hmm.
But Slayer. You know, we didn't have seen video of them. It was all you had seen was a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking, what does a pit look like at a fucking Slayer show? You know, 'cause I'm from the like hardcore punk scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking of like hardcore punk pit at a Slayer show.
Right.
Like, dude.
Whoa.
So
Yeah.
then when I heard Napalm Death, like I was like, fuck Metallica. I mean, I didn't. I still like Metallica. I still like Slayer. But when I heard Napalm Death, they're the king of the hill.
Yeah.
I thought that's about as fast as you can go,
Right.
and keep it together.
Right. Yeah.
And it still have a punch instead of like,
Right.
it's not.
Instead of just
The singer, dude, like he's the perfect.
Yeah.
Barney is the bomb, dude.
Yeah.
agree.
Frost, you know, I love Celtic Frost, but to me, well, if someone puts on Harmony Corruption, I'm in. I'll come.
Right.
Okay,
That's probably my favorite album.
cool. Got 2 more questions. That's it. No more questions after this one. First of all, someone wants to know, in your opinion, what was the first death metal album?
Gosh.
Repulsion.
When did that? I don't know when that came out. I know a lot of people tend to put Possessed, Seven Churches in there.
I had that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of thrashy, right?
It just kind of rides that kind of wave, you know. Kind of like Old Creator was that way too.
Yeah.
Old Sodom.
Old Sodom, man. Some of that stuff was.
It's hard to tell. When you start talking about genres, you can argue about that all day long.
Well, even like Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales. I mean,
or Hellhammer.
Stuff was like pro death metal, I guess. I mean, I guess if we're going to say pure death metal, I'd almost have death, Scream Bloody Gore. You know, I mean, that was what, 87 or something? I don't know when that came out.
It's all zombie ritual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I don't know, that's a good question. You're going to get a different answer from everybody. That's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
But they're kind of like the prototype.
Yeah.
Man, that house sounded so good. I remember that double bass.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, man.
Right. Yeah, probably. Jeez. I mean, I'll say Death, Scream Bloody Gore. That's
all right, cool.
Take.
That's a good
Okay, this is going to be
Me.
someone's saying that Seven
My
Churches.
first death metal.
Said what?
Someone said Seven Churches is the most common answer.
Yeah, somebody. Churches, yeah.
What was your first death metal record?
I think. Well, it depends on if you call Brutal Truth death metal.
That was it. Which one?
Perpetual Conversion.
Oh yeah, the EP.
The EP, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Brutal Truth, man. I don't know. They were kind of the early stuff was a little more death metal.
But
then they got more
grindcore.
Yeah.
Well, me and my brother discovered, I can't remember what year it was, the first Cannibal Corpse, the Eaten Back to Life.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Cannibal Corpse was. We had actually went to the mall because Celtic Frost put out that Vanity Nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've been waiting for that because Cold Lake really let me down. You know? And so I was like, fuck, man. But then I had read a review. It said, Celtic Frost back. So I was like, oh, shit. So I found out what day it came out. When we were in Oklahoma City, I went to the mall. And while I was there, I was going down to find Celtic Frost. I saw Cannibal Corpse. I was like, what the fuck is this? And so you know how it was. You just looked at the titles.
Yeah.
And so I had that and Celtic Frost, but I only had enough money for one. So my brother was with me, and I'm like, hey, Dale, look at this. This shit looks crazy. And so I basically sold it to him. You know, he's like, I'll fucking buy it. So we bought it. And we didn't even listen to Celtic Frost first. I'm like, we started here looking at the lyrics. We're like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
And like put that on, and we're like, damn! It was the first time I'd ever heard like the growl, like the super growl. Damn, this shit's badass. I can't remember what year that. That's whatever year Vanity Nemesis came out.
That would have been like 88 or something.
That's what.
Yeah,
That's
88, 89. Yeah.
So I was like, God damn! Like this is really extreme, like more extreme than Napalm Death. It was grittier than Napalm Death.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Napalm Death was like a fast hot rod or a drag race.
Right.
And they're more like a big mud and fucking.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I think the first death metal out of my book was Nocturnus the Key.
Oh,
dude, good record.
Really,
Yeah,
I forgot about
that's
that.
a damn good record.
Good album. Right, last question then about
That's
drummers.
What was the first?
Right, but so about drummers, someone wants to know who's a better drummer, Neil Peart or Stuart Copeland, and who is your favourite drummer?
Well, I'm saying Neil Peart, however you say it. I'm going with Neil. I mean, to me, I don't know. Probably because I'm more experienced listening to him than Stuart. I mean,
Stuart Copeland's they're both bad motherfuckers.
Right. Copeland do some crazy jazz shit. You know, I was watching him here a couple months ago on some some YouTube channel. I was really into like drummers, just watching drum playthroughs and stuff there for a while. He came up quite a bit, but I got to go with Neil on that one. I don't know. That's
a close one. That'd be close to call, man.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, because dude, I love the Police. I love the Police.
Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah, right. But I mean, dude, Rush are way up there for me. But yeah, I go with Neil. And as far as like my favorite drummer, holy crap, I'm a huge fan of Ian Pace. He's one of my favorites.
Man, it's tough.
Neil's one up there too.
Dude, there's so many good fucking
drummers. That is
they're your favorite for a certain reason.
Exactly. I think that's it.
Beat they
Yeah.
do.
Yep. Mitch Mitchell from the Hendrix.
Ginger Baker's a bad one.
Ginger Baker. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Like Mike was saying, it depends on what you're into, what mood you're in.
To me, Elvin Jones,
Coltrane,
John Coltrane's drummer, that dude can outplay anybody. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And he just has a little bitty set.
Yeah.
He makes it like it's a fucking big death metal set.
Right.
And the snare is like from outer space, dude. He plays snare like you've never heard before.
Yeah.
That bass player, he had a hell of a time connecting John Coltrane to Elvin Jones. You know what I mean? Trying to be like, okay, I got to be the piece in the middle that connects these.
No, yeah.
And it's constantly stretching, you know.
Right.
That's the way that
Yeah.
that's the way.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah, I'd have to say I'm Jones, man, because he is a badass.
Right. Yeah.
Mine is a guy named Joey Barron. He plays in a lot of John Zorn projects. And he can do anything because he was in Naked City. He can do the grindcore shit, do jazz. He can do the real laid back, weird percussive stuff. He just is in so many different projects, and he can cover the gamut for me of what I like about drummers.
Like now, I think drummers are really good. When I first started doing bands, it was like '87. Everybody was a guitar player. You couldn't find one drummer.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'd be like a 5-man.
Yep.
You know? Like that now.
It's kind of like that now.
Kind of, but there's a lot more.
There are more drummers.
A lot more drummers than there used to be.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It seemed like it was really hard to find a drummer.
Right.
Yeah.
A good one.
Yeah. I should have said that. A good one.
Yeah.
Reliable too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Cheers for coming on and answering questions and talking about your music memories. If you've got anything you want to say to finish up, anything you want to tell people to do, all your links are down below for people to check out your stuff. The link to the blog, and it's got all your links for all your sales and stuff like that in there. But if you've got any message you want to give to the people before we go.
Thanks for tuning in. Kind of cool to answer questions from the chat, and this has been a really fun interview.
Yeah, it's like questions we never get. I really like it.
Yeah,
I liked it too.
That was a really good time. And pre-order the new record.
Yeah.
It's coming out January, and we hope everybody likes it. And if you listen to this interview and listen to all our influences, a lot of them are in there. So we hope you dig it.
It's a stew of riffs.
It is a stew of lots of stuff.
Yeah.
The best thing we've done.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, and last week on this channel as well, my mate Elric had an interview with them as well, where they talked about all sorts of stuff on there as well. So go and check that out. That's in the blog as well, actually. So go and check it out. Check out the guys, and cheers for coming on. And hopefully we'll get you back when the album comes out.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man.
Thanks for having us.